And we're off and running. Little Thursday afternoon, June the 1st at beautiful Gulfstream Park. Delighted to have you with us here on Gulfstream today. Jason Blewett alongside Acacia Courtney. The sun is out. It looks like a beautiful day for thoroughbred racing here in South Florida.
Yes, and as you said, happy June, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It certainly does feel like summer now here in South Florida, and beautiful afternoon on tap. Lots of great stuff coming up. Of course, just a little over a week away from the Belmont Stakes as we wrap up that Triple Crown action, but good stuff coming up at Gulfstream as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that as we build like a crescendo into the July 1st Summit of Speed. And of course, money, money, money. We left off here with a packed house on Monday, Memorial Day, with no single winners in the Rainbow Six. Sit tight for our carryover coming up in just a few moments on this 9-race card in which we are fast and we are firm. First up, though, he's the expert. He's the man with the plan and a South Florida legend since the days of Man of War. Ron Nicoletti, Beat the Expert, Friday, tomorrow. Sign up.
Sign up on our Facebook page. Yes, he knows Gulfstream better than anybody. We'll put it that way. And you can go to our Facebook page. You can win one of those great polo shirts. And let me tell you, Ron does very well on the Beat the Expert days. I think he's the only one to actually not be beaten on the Beat the Expert day. He's done it twice. So a little bit intimidating there in his photo. And if you can pick more winners than him tomorrow, you can win one of those great polos. 9 races on tap tomorrow.
Look at those guns. And 9 races tomorrow, Acacia, in addition to the Ron Nicoletti Beat the Expert. It's Twilight Friday here at beautiful Gulfstream Park. We'll start an hour after. We usually begin at 2:15 p.m. when you consider just the drink specials and the fact that it's a happy hour on a Friday afternoon turned early evening here in South Florida. You get that beachy, relaxed, happy hour vibe with a good amount of class, though. Gulfstream Park, the place to be.
And you'll hear live music later on after racing in the walking ring, so definitely want to stick around for that. Admission and parking is free, so no reason not to come on out.
Love that breezeway bar area. You get the nice breeze in there, hence the name. And of course, you're so close to the walking ring and the paddock where you can check out these beautiful athletes. It's a privilege to watch these thoroughbreds run and compete against each other each and every day. And then you've got the racetrack mere feet away from the breezeway bar. So 2:15 p.m. for the Friday card. Now let's give you a little bit of a rundown. We're all about the friendly reminders at this time of the day here on Gulfstream today. We'll start the action at around 1:15 with the opening leg of the early pick 5 in race number 1, and we'll kick things off with a turf race going 5 furlongs in a field of 6 that builds into a no carryover dollar rolling super high 5 that gets underway in race number 2. And then with the 9-race program today, Acacia, we will dive into the Rainbow Six beginning in the 4th.
Yes, $513,000 plus in the 4th race today. That does kick off that Rainbow Six. Just a 20-cent wager. I think you can find a single. I'm taking a stab with a single, so we'll show my ticket. Hopefully today's the day, and then of course cap things off with that late pick 5.
I'm wondering if you singled the Pletcher runner in race number 4.
I did not.
Oh, all right, good. I look forward to talking about that race. $50,000 maiden special weight for the 2-year-olds, and again wrapping it up with the late pick 5 in race number 5. So without further ado, fast and firm on this Thursday, June the 1st. We'll start a new week, a 4-day week, and the new month here at Gulfstream Park at around 1:15. The pick 5 as well. Now let's take a look at my pick 5. Unlike Acacia's Rainbow Six ticket that we'll wait for, and we'll have it for you after the break, I am going to single the number 4 Scrapper in the first race, a very pricey 2-year-old in training purchase by Freshman Stallion and Orb. So I'll single him. I'll go 3 deep in race number 1. I'll use the Firster, Outstanding Debt, the 3 Dynamic Dancer, and the number 5 horse Salute the Colonel. It's on to a 2-horse spread in race number 2. The rematch between Tom Liz and the outside runner Family Crest. Give me the 3 Wakachulo, who I might be able to press in that race. And I did include the 5 Just a Darling, considering there's a big pace scratch. Then we've got the aforementioned single in the 4th. And you might want to press as well the number 4 Evil Twin in race number 5, who I think will be a very short price. In fact, I do think this early pick 5 today at Gulfstream Park might just chalk out. We'll see what happens in the first race today as we kick off the card, Acacia, with a group of turf sprinters in this 5 furlong field of 6, 3 and up maiden special weight. Number of these horses, and that's my issue with the likes of the one Stun, the 3 Dynamic Dancer, and even the 6 Indy Forest have just had so many chances.
They really have. You have Indy Forest 0 for 9 against lesser competition. Dynamic Dancer 0 for 8, though I think against tougher, and Stun 0 for 13. So that's kind of where everything you have to look at in here. Now, I did land on a number 3 Dynamic Dancer, and I think he's going to be the controlling speed. You do have speed to the inside with Stun, but he's cutting back in distance from 7.5 furlongs. He seems to show a lot more speed on that stretch at last time out, going the 2 turns. But Dynamic Dancer, if you look at the fractions last time out, they went very quick, 21 and 4, 44 and 2. That was in maiden special weight. He was trying to set the pace, and he finished behind a really nice horse in Mongo Nation, who went on to win his next 2 races, getting buyer speed figures in the high 70, low 80s, even trying stakes competition up at Belmont. So I think he's just coming out of better races and just might find the right spot today.
Now, we're not in the business of knocking long shots, and there's obviously quite a bit of time as far as the minutes to post is concerned before the first race today. Now, if the 6 Indy Forest, and if you like the horse, that's great, and if he's a big price, then so be it. But I do not like this horse's last out race, and I had a feeling that the 6 Indy Forest might just take some money here. And let's backtrack to February 9th, about 110 days ago, as Indy Forest, who got the short comment that day, a boxed-in strong finish. Personally, I thought Luca Panici rode this horse perfectly, basically sat the pocket. That horse in the orange to his outside was out of horse, let him off the rail. He had dead aim on the top 2 in front of him, and I just thought it was an okay finish through the final 3/16 of a mile for the 6 Indy Forest. What'd you think of this effort?
Well, I totally agree with you. And if you look at his last 3 races, he was beaten 3/4, half, and half, and that was against maiden 20,000, where he's against maiden special weight today. So absolutely agree on that. I used him towards the bottom of my ticket, but you notice I used others on top as well. Again, if you're looking for a long shot for some of those trifecta, superfecta perhaps. But the number 5, Salute the Colonel, you have this one right on top, and I'm really intrigued by him. We'll show a stat on trainer Joe Orsino in the past 5 years on the turf sprinting, first after the trainer switch. Not a big sample size, but some really strong numbers. 3 for 15 winning, 7 for 15 in the money, and a positive ROI of 244. He gets Lasix for the first time. He's off of a layoff. It's about 7 months. But if you look at his only turf race, that was at Monmouth with Christophe Clement, and he just broke very slowly. Then he was cut off, and then he was kind of settled, made a mid-race move. So just all over the place. Could be a live one at kind of a price today.
I hope so. I think the jury is out as far as the ability department, where the 5 Salute the Colonel stands. But the fact that we already saw Joe Orsino win off a similar layoff with the trainer change, horse by the name of Keep the Dream Alive here a few weeks ago.
Coming from Christophe Clement as well.
Exactly. It's basically exactly the same makeup as the 5 Salute the Colonel. That gives me some hope and faith that this horse is going to run today. And keep in mind, this horse is a younger half-brother to Pure Sensation, who banked over 9, or has banked. He's still in training and still very much one of the East Coast top turf sprinters. He's paid over $900,000 for the Generazios. I think Salute the Colonel is going to show up with a good effort in the first. I also thought the firster, the number 2, Outstanding Debt, could be live in a race again. So many have had, again, horses they're going to bet have had so many chances. We pretty much, Acacia, alternate turf to dirt throughout the program up through the opening leg of Thursday's late pick 4, and that's basically the case here for race number 2. As we head to the main, we'll stretch out a 1/16 of a mile off the first at 5.5 furlongs. These are 3 and up, bottom level, 12-5 maiden claimers. We go with a field of 7, and we have a rematch to get to with Tom Liz and Family Crest. Both these horses facing each other Preakness weekend. In fact, it was Pete Aiello and myself holding down the fort. You and Ron were up north in Maryland. Tom Liz pretty much kind of raced up inside. He's covered up at this point in the 2-path. Family Crest did not run well, but also had an impossible, and the boys upstairs in the control room did a very nice job highlighting, had an impossible wide chasing trip. Of the 2, who do you prefer here in the second?
Well, I don't really prefer either of them in this spot, to be quite honest. I used Tom Liz in second and used Family Crest in third, as I did think Tom Liz perhaps had the bit more of the trouble trips. He was trapped in and kind of tried to bully his way way through in there. We did see Family Crest, unfortunately, being so wide. I would have liked a little bit more follow through from him in the stretch. But Tom Liz, talking about horses with chances, he's 0 for 14. His last 2 races, he had second, third, second, and he always takes money. I just could not take him on top today, especially with what'll be a short price. Now, I was so upset that Do It Fast scratched, because that was my top pick in here, as I was trying to pick against Wathnon as well. So I did scratch into Wathnon, who goes back to the dirt. His only dirt try was going a mile, where he was a distant third, that day. I think he has some tactical ability. Obviously, high hopes for this horse. I think this is a race you have to spread in.
Yeah, you need the coverage, and Wathnon, no question. If he's going to run sprinting on the dirt, it's going to be against a field like this, and the likes of Tom Liz, who, as you correctly put it, is winless in 14 starts, and even the outside run of the 8 Family Crest. And you do get, in the case of Wathnon, a trainer who has done good work here over the last couple of cards. Nice wins going back to Sunday and Monday for trainer Marat Sankal with Easy to Say and Vetalago. Tom Liz, even though he's 0 for 14, mark my words, 5.5, his best distance, all right? If he gets a little luckier as far as race flow in front of him, I think he gets the maiden diploma. So that's your crew in the second. Let's move on to the third. 7.5 furlongs, field of 5 on the turf. We'll bring on the gals here. These are 3 and up filly mares in this $10,000 claiming race. Very few scratches the first half of the card. We did lose the number 7 Congressional Storm, and that may really put the 5 Just a Darling loose on the lead here. But the one thing I've seen with jockey Tyler Gaffalione, confidence and preparation. And I would imagine already Tyler is saying, what can I do to get Wakachula closer to the pace as she comes, and we'll look at it, a race here, a good effort back on May 21st, in which she had to weave her way and pick her way through the pack, as we have her highlighted in the white cap turning for home.
She did. She broke slowly from the rail post. She was the number 2, scratched to her inside, so she broke from the rail, and she was far last early, and they were kind of all strung out, but she did weave through. I thought it was a good ride by Tyler, and she's actually won before wiring the field. She has a more versatile running style than you might see just in her recent races.
And that's what I like about her, combining the lack of the paceless nature of this race with that scratch of a Congressional Storm. I guarantee, and I saw it in a couple of different situations last week where Tyler was very attuned with who he had to beat, and if he was riding more of a mid-pack stalker or even a closer, there were a couple of different races where he kept his horse closer to the pace and went after the horse he had to beat, and he wound up winning a couple of races, including, I think, Lady Giacomo was one of them. I was just really impressed with his riding, and I just think, like you, Wakachula can be a little closer, and I think in the talent department, she's just a little better than these.
She certainly is. And now, talking about speed, though, and you mentioned if the 5 Just a Darling does get loose on a lead, she is taking the significant drop in class in here. And Luca Panici does a very good job judging pace as well, just putting them to sleep on the front end. I've seen him do it time and time again. So if that's the case, and that ends up happening. Now, I don't think Wakachula is going to be so far back, presuming that she breaks sharper than she did last time. But Just a Darling, second, very close behind Wakachula last time, again against a bit tougher competition, so I wouldn't leave her off those tickets either.
Now, fair enough, and even in the early pick 5, I did include the 5 Just a Darling. It's her race to lose as far as race flow and pace dynamics go. We'll see if she's up to the task, and we'll talk and see your Rainbow Six play. A lot more coming your way on Gulfstream today on the other side of this quick timeout.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
Welcome back. Gulfstream today. Beautiful Thursday afternoon in Hallandale Beach. It is June 1st, if you can believe it. Glad to have you with us. 3 down, 6 to go here on the show with Jason and Acacia. And without further ado, what's that Rainbow Six play looking like?
All right, well, it's going to be 43-20 today. We'll give you a look at my ticket. I do have a single. I'm going to single Perfect Tay in the 8th. And that's a little bit of questions. I think Amberjack and Padilla both have shots in there, but I'm trying to keep things affordable. I know Todd Pletcher is the one to beat in the first leg in this maiden special weight, but a couple other horses I had interest in, and I like when they're 2-year-old races to start off the Rainbow Six. You get a look at them beforehand, so going to be using 3 with that Todd Pletcher runner scrapper, as well as Goody and Non-Such. 3 by 3, 2 in the 6th, spreading with 4 in the 7th. Again, my single Perfect Tay in the 8th, 3 in the 9th, 43-20.
How about a little spotlight to get us into the 4th race as we discuss these 2-year-olds who will compete in the opening leg of that $513,000 Rainbow Six carryover. Here is hip 677 at the OBS March sale. $600,000 the purchase price on the heels of this breeze. What did you think of this work here with this colt by Orb?
Well, I thought he had a really nice stride. I was impressed by it, and obviously they were impressed enough to spend $600,000 on him, so who am I to argue with that? But liking the way that he moves, and I think that he's going to show up to the track looking physically prepared, as is no surprise from the Todd Pletcher barn, of course. Orb had a lot of success right here at Gulfstream, winning the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby before going on to take the Kentucky Derby. So his progeny are 0 for 6 so far.
Right.
Maybe just taking a little bit of time to get going. So really excited to see what this one runs like.
Right, 4 foals and a good nugget there by you. 0 for 6 thus far as Orb with those 4 foals who have made the racetrack. There's clearly a lot to like about this colt by Orb, though, given the connections. And a quick little Thursday BB, the Bluets Bullets. You got that furlong there at OBS March in 10 flat. Of course, his dad, much like you said, loved Gulfstream Park, was a Florida Derby and Kentucky Derby winner. 3rd foal from a dam that won 2 of 7 on the dirt. And just to wrap things up, you get Gaffleone and the Pletcher barn over the last 30 days here exclusively at Gulfstream Park. They are 14 for their last 32. You will expect Scrapper to come out running today. Now, talking about a couple of the other horses you used, and to be fair, the 6 Kingston Pike scratched out, so that I think elevates the chances of the 5 Goody and the 8 Non-Such, who have some things to like as well.
Certainly do, and Goody from the Stanley Gold barn, he has a lot of 2-year-olds ready to go, and I think I really like that this one is debuting at the 5 furlongs. I mentioned this last weekend, 5 furlongs and 4.5, very big difference for the 2-year-olds, even though it is on paper a short distance. But this one, he's by Brethren, who we haven't really seen get going just yet as a sire, but he's out of Dat You Ms. Blue, who of course was a multiple stakes winner, grade 3 place, banked more than $800,000, and she won at first asking as well. So we'll see if this one can get rolling early.
She was a good one. Old timers like me remember Dat You Ms. Blue, trained by Jimmy Jerkins for a good bulk of her career.
Billy Badgett before
Billy
that.
Badgett had her before, and I do remember, it might have been for Billy or maybe for Jimmy, I believe she was a good second with a big fast buyer against Chaluki in an allowance race at Saratoga so many moons ago. But a solid crew on tap, including the first for Jose Pinch and by Cantharos. I know we'll have your expertise for the 4th. Looking forward to that. Let's get on to race number 5, though. We still have plenty more to talk about in the next 11 minutes before Pete Aiello comes up with these scratches and changes. We cash out the early pick 5 with a field of 8. These are 3 and up. Filly and Mare, 12-5 maiden claimers, 2-turn mile on the turf. This is the cash out in the early 5. It's also the beginning of the late 5. And if you wanted to press the 4 Evil Twin, I could see doing that. I think this horse, this filly for Armando de la Cerda, will be an overwhelming favorite and looks pretty solid off the trainer change. I am going to use the 6 Kabuki, though, just because you know what you're getting with her, and her recent races have been, relatively speaking, okay. Then it's a 4 by 3 by 3, and then as we fast forward into race number 9, I'm singling and anchoring the ticket with Todd Pletcher and Tyler Gaffleone, who of all horses have an Empire Maker maiden claimer bred in Japan, owned by Gary Barber. Kind of an odd-looking horse, at least as far as the resume is concerned. So there you go. It's a $36 play. Race number 5, the starting point, and getting back to the 4 Evil Twin, who you picked second. I would imagine this horse for Midwest and Armando de la Cerda getting Tyler G. Just very live and well-intentioned here, first time out for this barn.
Certainly will be, and I don't know if she'll be an overwhelming favorite. I've of course think that she'll take money, but I thought Kabuki's race 2 starts back was a huge performance, and I've been waiting for her to come back at a lower price. Now, Evil Twin, for me, it was just a lot of changes at once. I certainly used her as well, but she's first in time in the barn. She's switching to the turf, which as far as numbers go and the competition that she faced was definitely her best race. That being said, it really wasn't good. She does get the blinkers on as well, so it's a lot of changes, change of scenery as well. I did want to see when she is out of an 8-time turf winning mare, so we'll see if she transitions today. Just took a little bit of a wait-and-see approach.
And I've never heard of the sire, a Maltese dog.
We've seen some run down here.
Wow, okay, I'm still cutting my teeth, very much so, on the South Florida circuit, but I like kind of off-the-beaten-path stallions like that, and again, I'm going to take Evil Twin at what I think will be a short price. You've got Kabuki, and that might be the 2 you need in here. They look like 2 A's on paper, and again, the 2 I used in the late pick 5. Let's move on to race number 6. The start, I should say, the late pick 4 is our last dirt race on the card. It's a field of 8 and a 3-and-up filly mare, 6250 claimer. We're on the dirt again, going 6 furlongs. It's oftentimes a numbers game, and you do have that strength and comfort in numbers. And for Frank Calabrese and trainer Angel Rodriguez, they have not 1 but 2 horses here in Swapple and Loving Valentina, who I happen to think, and I've got them in the mix, but I think both are vulnerable. You, however, and that's the beauty of the show, think they're going to sweep the exacta.
Well, they certainly could. Now, I think that they're both vulnerable, too, that being said. Now, Loving Valentina, this horse was unbeatable back in the winter when she was with Gennady Dorochenko, and kind of everything that you threw at her, she managed to win against all odds. And then she was claimed by Jorge Navarro and couldn't win. So go figure. And now she's with Angel Rodriguez, and it's kind of the same thing. But she has some tactical speed. She does have Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle today. She's coming out of, I think, comparatively speaking, some okay races when you look at the rest of the field. Your top pick feeling awesome, certainly could fire third off the bench. Last 2 races, one of them on the turf anyway, but last time out, not pretty at all. So wanted to see this one take a step forward.
She's going to have to take a step forward. If she's going to do so, though, I think it'll be in a race like this where you've got, again, in my opinion, a couple of vulnerable, shorter-priced horses like Swapple and especially Loving Valentina, and I like her turning back today. I think if you get, if she's able to turn things around for Carlo Vaccarezza, who has quickly turned into one of my favorite people down here at Gulfstream Park. He's awesome. Yeah. It'll be turning back against a field like this. I also happen to believe the 6 Silver Sassy, who's had some lengthy layoffs throughout her career, there's no question about it, but she's never run this cheaply. And I'm not familiar with trainer Augustin Bizzarra, but 50% drop over the last 5 years. He's gone 3 for 8 for 38%. I think for a smaller, modest-sized barn, that's a noteworthy stat. So I'm all about feeling awesome in Silver Sassy. That's how I hope I'm feeling after today's
Well, there you go. And Augustin Bizzarra has had some very nice horses at this lower level claiming. He certainly does have some strong horses at this level, and I think that'll be key. I did end up using Swapple as well. I think switching to the dirt, Ramsey Zimmerman can get a little bit more aggressive with this one.
And he's really picked things up. He's riding well. He's picked up business for a few outfits, most notably Angel Rodriguez. On to race number 7, fairly late in this June 1st card here at GP. We've got an all-turf pick 3 waiting for us to close out the day, and a field of 7 in race number 7 with this group of 3-and-up filly mare $10,000 claimers. I think for me the biggest nugget, or at least biggest plot line going in, and it's a multi-layered 10K claimer on the turf, but it's about the 4 exiting the opener here on May 10th. A race we'll backtrack with our spotlight and take a look at Proper Princess. She's the one I think you want. Now, she had a very good trip in this race back on May 10th, essentially tracking inside, saving ground, and she was able to finish up, splitting horses down towards the inside, and a good finish towards the wire. In a race, she was wired by Explosive Candy, who was a decent little price at 5-1 on the front end. As time went on and this May 10th card started to evolve, it wound up being a turf course that was very kind of horses that had the kind of speed like Explosive Candy. Wire-to-wire winners were basically the the course that day. And I think Proper Princess, tactically speaking, was compromised with her trip over a speed-friendly turf, and I think she proves best personally here in race number 7. But she does have to get around the top connections of Maker and Gaffleone.
She does, and if you go back and look at that race, she was actually shuffled back early, so I don't think that she had a smooth trip in that race. So she did have to overcome that, but she went between horses with a good closing kick, and you did see Poison Art closing very wide outside in that race to be beaten just by a neck behind Explosive Candy, who did wire. But Kiss the Crown, I did land on very slight class relief in here. She's won against a bit tougher. She did finish behind Awesome and Then Some last time out, but I think that she's just in a good spot today. She's had a bit of a freshening. We have a stat from Mike Maker as well. Turf sprints in the money last time out with a 31 to 60 day layoff, 26%, 54% in the money, positive ROI of 202. Often very difficult to find a negative stat for the Maker barn, especially on the turf, but she's tactical as well.
It's nice to see those white bridles down here in force and in the numbers at Gulfstream Park, as Todd Pletcher and Mike Maker both had multiple winning weekends here for Memorial Day weekend, and Kiss the Crown for you on top of the 7 Proper Princess, a Crown of Thorns exacta. I wonder if that's the first and only time that's ever been muttered here on Gulfstream Park today. So I like Joe's horse in race number 7. You'll take Maker and Tyler G, and we can move on to race number 8, and this is your single territory. Perfect Tay. Keisha said, not an easy call, but I had a single somewhere, and you'll take a horse who I think gets points for being so consistent.
So consistent. And the other horses that I was looking at are not without their questions. Padilla stretching out again. His last win, did come going the 2 turns, but he ran huge going 5 furlongs last time out. So interesting with the stretch out. Amberjack, great last time, but stepping up in class again. Whereas Perfect Tay was beaten by Diaz last time. Really solid performance from both of those horses in there. And was beaten by Class and Cash a couple starts back, and there is no beating that horse. So I think this is the one that's been in the best form lately. He's kept his form throughout trainer changes as well. Consistency is key.
Now, you do get that back class that you correctly noted with the 2 Amberjack, who showed some of that old heart and gameness. A now 7-year-old, a former 2-time Big Apple Triple winner, if you will, 2/3 of the Big Apple Triple. And let's just give you the Bluets bullets on an old, hard-hitting New York bred who's put up some good numbers throughout his career. In fact, doesn't seem that long ago in my memory that he won both the Mike Lee and New York Derby before running 2nd in the Albany at Saratoga Racecourse. And last time out, he did not have an easy go of it on May 11th. And we'll look at that race via the spotlight at Gulfstream Park. And you could take us through with Luca Panici, where this horse, don't be fooled. I mean, he was basically 3 to 4 wide at a minimum throughout, chasing the pace.
It was a huge performance from him in here, and I thought this was stacked competition too. As you said, coming out of Gulfstream, you realize that these mid-level 16K claimers are as tough as it gets, and he looked fantastic in the walking ring prior. He showed that on the racetrack. Thought it was a huge performance for him, but he will have to deal with the likes of Perfect Tay today.
A better post. And what's this nugget here with trainer Leo Gabriel Jr., who's got post 2 with Luca Panici and Amberjack. You see a near 30% move as far as the win column with the winner last out on turf. I like it.
Just something else to show in here, that if you are looking for an alternative of the potential favorite, we seem to be hammering home Amberjack, obviously a sentimental favorite, if you will, too, but very good numbers for Leo Gabriel Jr. And I've said before, I think especially with his horses shipping in or that have had a couple races at Gulfstream, he does a good job spotting them.
Yeah, that stat tells me horses that are coming in off victories most notably are probably going up in class, and that means they're holding their form, and in some cases probably improving off those last out wins. So yeah, Amberjack's got plenty to like here in race number 8. We'll see how he does against Perfect Tay, Acacia's single, and we'll close things out with my single in the late pick 5. Here's race number 9, 3 and up, Philly Mare, made in 20 claimers. We end things going a 2-turn mile on the turf, and you've got Joe Orsino, who could be sitting on a pretty big day. He's got Don't Talk Back in race number 9, and this is a horse who, as we backtrack with our spotlight here on GP today, man, oh man, did he lose a tough one last time out at 3-5. He gave Bar Libre everything he could handle off the far turn and just lost by a tough nose here at Gulfstream.
He did, and you see Bar Libre's the number 3 on the outside there. And Bar Libre came back with a very good second against 16 condition claimers next time out. So I think that he is coming out of a strong race, just could not hold on along the rail, beating a nose. And you could see the two of them just going down to the wire. Really big race from both of them.
Now, is it a 3-horse affair? I happen to think it is. The 3 they're going to bet, you've got Don't Talk Back, who's obviously coming in off that second and a string of seconds for Joe Orsino. My top selection, the Japanese-bred maiden claimer by Empire Maker. There aren't many of those floating around. That's the 9 Love and Empire, who's coming out of a race that's already produced a couple of next out winners on the turf. In fact, horses dropping out of Love and Empire's last out effort on April 26th, and it was a fairly average run that day and checking in 5th, but horses have gone 2 for 3 on the turf. And then to wrap up the big 3, so to speak, your top selection, the number 6 Conquest Sorcerer, who was just in action less than a week ago.
Yes, May 26th was her last race. She has even faced a Grade 2 company in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. She's been all over the place. I think she's finally in a spot where she can be successful. I was not overwhelmed by Love and Empire in her last couple of races, just looking at demeanor, so I'll be interested to see. And she was also cool on the board for a Todd Pletcher runner in her last 2. I do think, as you said, it's a 3-horse race. I'm using all 3 of them in the Rainbow Six.
Yeah, I would use, if I was playing the Rainbow Six, depending upon or where I singled earlier on, or if I wanted to press like Evil Twin in race number 5, I could get involved in using 3 as a backup. But again, I like Love and Empire to continue the hot run of both Tyler Gaffleone and trainer Todd Pletcher. Sun is out. You ready for a day here at Gulfstream
ready.
Park?
Should be fun.
Little thoroughbred racing coming your way, in addition to the big man upstairs who will be downstairs. That first set of scratches and changes with the one and only track announcer, Pete Aiello.